Hello, my name is Elliot Ludwig.
One of the failed ideas was Experiment 1175. The consequences nearly cost the company subjects 1,170 and 72. The duo of Huggy and Kissy sparked a surge of theories among the company's clients and fans. The romantic relationship between the subjects served as an example for company employees in strengthening traditional values. And Subject 1175 solidified the family status of Huggy and Kissy, as well as the commercial success of this toy line. A couple of tragic attempts to transform the test subjects from the Playcare orphanage ultimately resulted in the realization of the subject known as the heir. Huggy and Kissy perceived the heir as a rarest chance granted to them from above. The subjects became detached. Any intervention by employees triggered aggressive behavior, especially from Subject 1170. And in October 19, 1987, at 1 p.m., a scientist was brutally torn apart by Huggy Wuggy due to an attempt to contact the heir. The escape attempt was thwarted by the use of a powerful sedative serum and the seizure of the air from the subjects. The experiment has been cancelled. However, it will later be reinstated in the documentation under the 1200 series experiments. To prevent another subject uprising, Huggy and Kissy were separated and assigned to different positions within the factory, with a minimal chance of accidental interaction. The family toys concept was modernized in the next 1991 implementation featuring elastic plastic long-legs toys.
Money Experiment 002. Name, Money. Money is an anthropomorphic night moth, closely resembling a fairy tale fairy. However, it is established that Money was one of the very first toys ever created by Playtime Company, making her the primary face of Poppy Playtime. According to available data, the subject was not only aesthetically pleasing, but also possessed unique capabilities. Thanks to 2 pairs of wings, Money could fly over vast distances. The 2 antennae on her head allowed her to analyze her surroundings using echolocation, which helped her locate objects even from a great distance. Archive records state that Money harbored a profound love for the human race and was programmed for their protection. Consequently, she oversaw the upbringing of the other toys, attempting to instill in them that same devotion to humanity. Based on archival data, most of the monsters even regarded Money as their own mother. But then, everything changed. On the day the hour of joy arrived and the toys revolted against the humans, Mooney was the only one who stood on the side of humanity. The odds, however, were not in her favor. After a fierce and brutal battle, Mooney fell at the hands of her own children. Yet none of the toys could bring themselves to finish what they had started. They all still deeply loved the one who had tried to block their path. Unable to fully destroy her, the toys decided to cast Mooney into the deep catacombs of the Playtime Comber factory, where she remains to this day. Having lost her wings during the struggle, Mooney still wanders the dark, abandoned corridors, searching for an exit. Over time, her mind fractured, transforming the once sweet and nurturing mother of toys into a deranged and ruthless monster. It is important to note that even after her transformation into a monster, she remains harmless to humans. Her primary objective is now the systematic extermination of other toys.
Experiment 950, known as Poppy Dream Room, was the final residence for test subjects before the surgical stage of the experiments. The name of the room came from an informal decision by management to fulfill the subjects' final dreams due to the unpredictable nature of the experiment. The Poppy Smoke experiments and the emergence of the Bigger Bodies Initiative's new creatures also sparked rumors of a white-tiled room with a flower that opened the gates to hell. Day 1. A small dose of smoke is administered to prepare the subject's body. General drowsiness is observed. Temperature is normal. Mental state is stable. Day 2. A larger dose is administered. Initial hallucinations are observed. Subjects often see insects on the walls or rats scurrying by the bed. There is intense agitation. The final day begins with the administration of a large dose of smoke before surgical intervention. Often, the subjects experience intense and remarkably similar hallucinations. Upon contact, subjects report the room expanding to an infinite size, about long, cold corridors with white tiles and absolute silence. In that moment, subjects report seeing a similar creature that is watching them. The subject's smoke-poisoned subconscious perceives the surgeons in this way, while the agony of the surgical experiment is felt as the torment of a monster within the labyrinth of the infinite poppy dream room.
Experiment 1400. Butch Tooch. This is the ideal mechanical dentist developed by the Playtime Company. It was assumed that this experiment could replace human dentists. After all, its unusual and bright appearance attracted children and did not instill fear at all. But after a failed test, the project was decided to be shut down. Butch was sent to Vault B136, a place for keeping defective toys. However, when the hour of joy happened, the object managed to escape, and since then he has lived on the lower levels of the factory. While working on the lower levels of the Playtime Company factory, you may encounter Butch Tooch. Follow the rules to survive. Rule 1. If you find a trail of candy in the corridor, do not follow it under any circumstances. This is how Butch Tooch lures victims to him. You should also not pick up candy from the floor. Most likely there are no candies inside the wrappers. Rule 2. If you encounter Butch, do not try to run away. He will catch up with you anyway. It is necessary to put on individual false teeth as soon as possible and show them to the object. In 80% of cases, Butch will decide that your teeth do not need treatment and will let you go. Rule 3. If you see the object and a wide smile stretches across its face, attention! The object has entered Phase 2. Leave the location immediately. Danger level red. Danger level red. Danger level red.